in the spirit of like taking up space again without mentally judging it first, right? Because that's part of what happens. If you judge connection mentally, you automatically disconnect, right? That the idea of letting in connection, actually following Patanjali, means in order to feel connection, the mind actually has to quiet down. You don't get to connection by judgment, right? Or by fear. So sit up straight and tall. Start to feel more rather than less. Soften the skin on your face, around the eyes, your jaw, the inside of your mouth. Remember, you're trying to slow down mental activity, the oscillations, the judgments of mind, to allow in a greater depth of your body, especially in an asana practice. So as you exhale, let your shoulder blades drop a little bit and your chest lifts. So that's why I give the instruction about exhaling as if someone's pushing on the inner edge of each shoulder blade. And then feel your feet and your sitting bones, keeping the inside of your mouth soft and your jaw relaxed. Start to, from your sitting bones first, lift your chest and drop your shoulder blades. So the skin goes down the back body. Sometimes you hear me describe it like dropping a silk curtain from the base of your neck to your tailbone. But so bring in the back body as the front body lifts, but they balance each other. So the activation on the front side of your body is balanced, not counteracted, balanced by a softness and lightness on the back body. Feel each foot on the floor, each sitting bone. Broaden gently between the shoulder blades. Exhale from the back ribs. Inhale and expand. And as all of these actions come into coordination, your spine goes down, the energy of your spine goes down, and it lifts. Especially on exhalation, you extend towards the earth and towards the sky. Let the air touch your skin all around you as you stay sturdy and alert and empty on the inside. Let go of your day. Prepare your mind to do yoga. Good. And then Release, and then activate your sternum even more up towards your chin, and your chin down and over your sternum. More stability, more activation. Symmetry, breath into each nostril, or if you breathe into the mouth, that's fine. Each lung, each sitting bone, each foot. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. So, like, there are different qualities, when I said in Shavasana, like in the centering there, like that there's an empty alertness, right? Think about that. So like that the quiet, the emptiness, whatever word we put on that experience, right, is you have different qualities of that emptiness, right? So when you're trying to fall asleep, you want that emptiness to lead to dissipation, right? You're not going to try to be alert while you're trying to fall asleep. So again, we have this kind of state of our nervous system that allows a more inward interoceptive awareness, right? And there are times where you want that not to have crisp edges, right? And that's important. That's a different type of emptiness or relationship to that part of your nervous system, as when you're trying to center and let the emptiness be alert, right? And so, and this, one of the things that asana is teaching you is that alertness is not necessarily mentally chosen, right? You can't just all of a sudden go, okay, I'm changing it right here. It's gonna come from your body more too. Like the alertness that asana is trying to show you is that there can be a unity between the emptiness and the structure that leads to fullness, right? So asana is trying to show you a different relationship to the energy that centers, to the energy that helps you sleep, right? That there are different relationships to that part of your nervous system, the parasympathetic part of your nervous system. And asana is trying to show you that it can go to a fuller expression, an alert emptiness that can then be contained within the structure, right? So, all right, so everyone take your sternum up towards your chin and your chin down over your sternum again. This idea that there's an alertness because your spine, when you lift your sternum up, notice your back ribs have to come forward. They have to migrate forward. Your spine migrates forward. And then you drop the chin and you amplify the inward relationship because you're not, and you're closing your eyes, so you're not taking in as much impulse. So that alertness of your spine is coming more into the driver's seat as your mind and the input coming in through your eyes subjugates itself to a dynamic energy coming through the spine, right? And in order for your spine to keep this, you're going to have to feel your sitting bones and your feet. So I remember one time, so this is a place where the yogis, when you're teaching asana in an inward state like this, also try to give you images, right? So I remember as my chest is lifted here and I'm being more inward, I remember an instruction I heard from Gita Iyengar, which when she said, you feel the breath, if you're breathing through your nose, you feel the breath into each nostril. Let each lung be like a nostril. Okay, so see it as a massive intake. So you're dropped, you're inward, and all of a sudden it's not just here, it's here in the chest that's receiving the air directly. So these images that you hear sometimes in a yoga class, it's up to you as a student to make them help you go deeper. Good. And raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. Sometime, for whatever reason, and it may not work for you, because at first it was too weird for me. Letting each of my lungs be a gigantic nostril was actually a weird kind of breakthrough when I was breathing, right? And it wasn't right away. I thought it sounded silly right away, right? All right. So this alertness, this structured relationship to the inward emptiness that's in the inside of each pose, right? Now, as you lift your chest here and be more alert with your spine, so your brain is sublimating itself and letting the spine lead, right? Soften your jaw and feel the air on your skin. So my house is kind of cold this morning. So it's actually easier to feel where my skin is in space. So I have an alert center, right? And I can tell where my outer edges are. But I'm doing it from a state of alertness, inward alertness. So I'm actually activating and reaching. Good. And then release. So here's another weird instruction that I've been working on for years, right? One time it's easy to get really intimidated by how deeply and profound an advanced yogi can feel things. And you think, oh my God, I'm never going to get there, right? I remember years and years ago reading something from B.K. Sangar where he said, well, every skin cell breathes. Pranayama, which instead of thinking about it as an inhalation and exhalation, it's not like every skin cell has a mini set of lungs, right? It means that prana is going to go in and through every pore of your skin, every cell, right? Now, how do I get myself into a position where that might actually become more apparent to me? Well, lift your chest, right? So I get this structure of stability and alertness. And I'm putting my arms by my sides, right? And I'm turning my palms slightly forward because I want this skin to open, right? Because I want to start feeling not just this inward alertness, but an expansive sense through my skin, right? Now, if I go like this and drop my chest, everyone do that and drop your chest. Notice how your skin, even in your arms, doesn't actually receive the same way. So now again, lift your chest. Try to feel where, like again, my house is a little bit cold. So I can feel where my skin is. Land my sitting bones and my feet. Let my skin keep sending received inputs to my brain. Soften my jaw, the inside of my mouth, and the connection between my sense of inward emptiness and an expansion through my skin is being integrated. In other words, different parts of my nervous system are being integrated into a whole. WHOLE. Good, and then release. So then there's also these other crazy things, like for me, crazy that I had to figure out how to have a relationship to. Because Iyengar also says all knowledge comes through the skin, right? Huh. What? Sit up straight and tall again. If you think about knowledge as an interaction between you and what's outside of you, right? Regardless if it's a math formula in a book or whether it's the sun on your skin, everything is coming through the skin. It's actually a very simple, truthful statement. But can I direct my skin outward, not just have it take in, right? So again, I'm sitting up straight and tall. Again, it's not what the teacher says, it's what you can like wrestle out of it, right? What can you take as a student, right? And so now I'm trying to like connect a dynamic energy of my spine, of fullness to alert stillness, right? And let it come out through my skin as if there's a sun going from in to out. Feel my sitting bones, feel my feet. As I go to my tailbones and feet, that's why yogis are going to say something like moon energy. That's going to be a cooler energy. As I activate out through my skin, it's going to be more of a sun-like energy. And I have both. So do you. As you let the skin on the elbow open, can you gently broaden across your palms? Now, I have to really work from the moon side. Some of you can do it from the skin side. Can you connect that to the back of your knees? I have to swim underwater to find my backs of my knees in relationship to the sun on my skin. Good, and then release. All these things, they're all going on. And do you think they're only real because you can think of them? Are you thinking this is the only doorway? Wrong. This weekend, when I teach the trauma workshop with Bessel and everybody, I'm going to try to get that across, that mindfulness is not the way to help trauma, right? It's actually having your body be empty and full. So take your left arm up in the air and go off to the side. So we're just adding again that kind of waking up twist energy to what's going on. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Different relationships to my own emptiness is actually part of being a full human being. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Somehow, and then come on back to center, when we're going in audiences, we're forgetting to be outwardly connected. Inhale, take the right arm up. Exhale, revolve. Again, now we're just adding some dynamic energy. I'm still trying to stay centered. I'm still trying to feel my skin. I'm not just trying to shift my awareness to my muscles. In other words, my awareness to my control, right? In order to receive input through the skin, you have to relinquish some control. Your mind's not in charge. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Come on back to center. Again, being in the center, I'm going to like go to that quiet place that hopefully your years of yoga practice are letting you bring it up right away. You can like go, ooh, and you have Savasana waiting for you, right? That inward dynamic. But now I'm going to do it while I'm sitting up straight and tall, right? So I'm going to like feel the alertness, allow in more, push on my own knees to activate, right? I want to activate my spine here, right? Broaden between the shoulder blades, drop them down, hit down through my sitting bones and rise back up, balance my head over my neck, hit down through my sitting bones and up through the top of my head. But I want to not have my neck out of balance, right? And stretch out to the top of my head. I want alignment and a sense of balance to help me go down and beyond the top of my head at the same time. Good, and then release. Now, because I am paralyzed from the chest down, for me, when I push into my knees, it's a slightly more alert state. I'm not exactly sure what's true for you, but I suspect something similar, right? So now, again, hands on your knees. So one of the things that happens, right, when we are in space from a sense of unconsciously recognized fear, is we tend to recede out of the space, right? So I'm trying to activate, again, my base by holding my knees, right? Lifting up. And I was talking about this rise as I'm going down, but now I want to go horizontally, right? So that's why it's across the collarbones, also spreading the shoulder blades, connecting that to the underwater, deeper sensation of where my sitting bones are, because my mind's not used to letting that in. And my inner side edge of my heels, again, that's like going underwater for a little bit. And the whole time, I'm still trying to feel and allow for the touch of the air on my skin. So I'm practicing a very dynamic inside to out. And I'm trying to balance it. Good, and then release. So taking up space inside the torso and through the legs. But now I want you to take, I also want to get it, one of the things that happens both as you age and as you're afraid is you tend not to be aware of the outer edges of your body, right? You tend to recede. So already I was given a lot of instruction to the top of the head and the sitting bones, and then each side, right? So as you sit here again, and you go down and you lift up and you drop your shoulder blades and you spread them and you feel your sitting bones and you feel your feet, right? Make sure you allow, as you're activating to feel all those things, make sure you allow the touch of the air on your skin. Make sure you open the elbow pit, the backs of your knees, right? Soften your jaw. You will close them down if you clench your mouth. Your brain won't receive them. So I'm trying to activate. Good. And then release. So those of you that can, this time, start from the feet, right? So if you're lucky in you can probably wiggle your toes, right? For those of us that can't wiggle your toe, again, we're just trying to get the brain to get input from the periphery of the body, right? So if you can wiggle your toes, do that. In order for me to get the sense of wiggling my toes, I have to, again, swim underwater, right? I have to submerge to the inwardness to find my feet, right? For those of you that can just move your feet or press your feet down, great, right? And so for those of us that have to submerge, in order to wiggle your toes, you have to like do something in your very low abdomen, right? And so that's kind of amazing, actually. All right, but for those that had to submerge to get to the toes, now I'm going to open my eyes and let the light in. So I'm going to actually practice this inward dynamic and this outward receiving of sun, of light, right? And I'm going to soften my jaw and stay alert. So where your feet are, especially in a seated class, and where your legs are, actually is harder to keep in focus. Remember, focus is not just mental awareness. Good, and then release. So now, again, stretch down your arms. So what I love about asana, so I'm going to sit up straight and tall, I'm going to do all these things I've been saying. And I'm going to try to feel this touch of the air on my skin, right? Now, because it's so easy to hit my arms down without actually differentiating stuff, I've been telling you to open the elbow pit and maybe connect to the back of your knees. And I even have mentioned connecting the elbow pit to the skin on the palm, right? So we're seeking inward, right? But now, from an open elbow pit and an opening palm, can you expand down each fingertip? So instead of hitting down like a lump with your hands, can you actually let the skin and the awareness of the circumference of each finger and the broadening of each palm be part of the energy that's going down as the center of the chest rises, as the sitting bones hit down. Now, your ability to do this will increase as you practice. For some of you, this might just be mental instruction now. It's for you to transition it, for you to know how to take a mental awareness and bring it through the body and then back out through the body. Good, and then release. All right, again, take up your left hand. Now hit down, rise up. Remember, I've been doing all this like a couple weeks ago about you're the weaving between the earth and the sky. As I go down towards the earth, in other words, swim underwater to find the earth below my chair, right? Can I touch towards the sun, towards the air? And what do I have to do with my shoulder blade to keep the earth as part of the pose? Right? And go to the, and now make sure my head. Good, and then release. Go up through the other way. So we're going down and up, including my fingertips and the skin and my shoulder blade towards the earth and my elbow pit opening and my toes or my heels connecting, right? I'm actually living in my whole freaking body and breathing. Good, and then release. So one of the amazing things about breath, and it's exactly because it's both voluntary and involuntary. One of the things I've taken this in too, when I think about lines that I have to process the rest of my life, because Iyengar does not recommend intense pranayama for people with cancer. Okay, now, what does that have to do with anything? Well, I take that to mean that your breath will reinforce whatever's happening in your body, even if it's growing the wrong cells, right? So pranayama will go to everything. Breathing will go to everything, right? And so you want to get it so your breath can help you with more of the mental part of the awareness part. So sit up straight and tall again. Activate, become more whole. Make the alert stillness, the emptiness inside of you be part of your attention. That's why I'm opening my elbow pits. That's why I'm stretching my palms, because I want my attention and my emptiness to actually be part of the pose, right? So because I want to fill the vessel. I want to remember what it's like to be around other people, how it's nourishing, how I don't need to retract. I can expand. Good, and then release. One of the real damaging things that I think the pandemic and these new variants are doing is this putting a tremendous amount of judgment in the empty space between me and other people. All right, so now come forward. And again, because you know I like to do it every single class, I want you to spread your low back. I want you to lengthen it. I want you to go in multiple directions at once. I want you to hit through your sitting bones and lift under your collarbones, right? But now I want you to take your trapezius away from your ears. What? Well, the only way I can truly take this muscle where nobody carries any stress, right? Everyone's got really unstressed trapezius muscles. Yeah, right? The only way I can take my trapezius away from my ears is to broaden across my collarbones, is to broaden between the shoulder blades. Now I'm going to lift up underneath my collarbones and I'm going to activate. And I'm now, as I'm kind of intense and my voice is getting intense because this should be kind of hard, right? Don't forget that you're supposed to feel your skin at the same time. You're supposed to actually allow in more. Damn, I want to fill from inside to out. The world's too scary if I don't fill from inside to out. Then my breath becomes like power. I get to fill the frickin' vessel. I don't have to have my vessel filled with judgment. I can fill it with air. Good, and then back up. I think last week I talked about this space as being fear complex, right? Or was that 2 weeks ago? Right? This idea of getting open here. So grab behind you. And open your chest. When we contract, so remember, there's physical contraction and there's psychological and energetic contraction. So I think people in public are actually like chronically contracting, right? And so we're trying to follow Gita Anger, saying, hey, there's a lot of stuff coming through your chest. That's why shoulder stand's so important, right? But now, can I have this open and feel the air on my skin? Can I open to more sensation? Good, and then release. Take your right arm up, left arm up, and then drop it down, and then turn it in, and then lengthen, like all these things, like, whew, right? Here's me just turning it in. Here's me not having my emptiness. Here's me starting to expand, turn it in, and make this a dynamic expression, right? And then release. Here's me pretending it doesn't matter, right? Like, here's how I do it like 90% of my day. I just go, here's me coming into an alertness and actually getting it to be more yogic, lengthening from my armpit to my elbow, right? Feeling my sitting bones, feeling my feet. Good, and then release. Again, put your hands on your knees, ground, lift your chest. So I'm a huge Talking Heads fan. And there's a line in when I actually like pay attention to stuff, and actually in my yoga practice. So I'm just taking a moment here to be more full and empty, right? Using my emptiness as part of my fullness, sitting up straight and tall, right? And then release. So I'm reminded of a line from a Talking Heads song as I really made this be more dynamic, right? So the line is, and if you don't know the Talking Heads, you need to. And if you don't know the Remain in Light, that album, you really need to know that album, right? But there's a line in one of the songs, he's describing a woman dancing in a club, David Byrne. He's a really good songwriter, right? And he says, she moves to express the world, right? I freaking love that line, right? That your movement is an expression, or she moves to describe the world, right? You're describing as you're moving the world, right? So take your arm up. And as I make this more aware, down, up, activate from here to here, hitting down through my sitting bones, I love the idea that I'm describing the world. I'm bringing it to fullness as I realize asana. This is a description of being, right? It just doesn't include your mind so much, or your words. Other arm up, down. Get it going up, getting it going down, broaden across the collarbones. Breathe, and then release. So there's, the thing about talking to Kevin, he blows my mind all the time. And so he said to me, this is also part of what he thinks is happening on Zoom. He said that if you only use words, you'll only conjure words. And a storyteller needs to conjure worlds, not words. And so if you're just talking from your words, you will only conjure the world of words. right? If you actually are describing more and you're trying to conjure worlds, not words, you'll actually be in space better, right? So this is why part of the sit up straight and tall. This is why they call like Tadasana. Feel your sitting bones inside of your heels. Lift down the collarbones, drop your shoulders down. And they call this mountain pose because they want you to conjure a world, not just the word mountain. Can you conjure a mountain? Can you conjure a world through your body? And then as soon as I'm pulling myself forward to get my spine, I'm going to go with both arms. I'm going to make the pose not as good, but I'm going to stick my arms at both sides here. And I'm going to try to find Tadasana again, mountain pose. And I'm going to try to conjure worlds. I'm going to move to describe the world, to express the world, and take up space. So can you feel where your fingertips are? Can you feel how opening the palms and awareness of the fingertips can help you lift under the collarbones? Can you be open to what's behind you without being afraid? Can you live from inside to out, even though you're afraid of the outside? Good, and then release. Social isolation will make our posture worse, right? It will do that. All right, so take your arms behind you again. Let's get the core open again. Right, and so I'm like being dynamic, strong, full. Even if like here, when I really do this, I can't take a very deep breath. So what? I'm going to remain full. Good, and then release. This time, I'm going to try to use gravity to fall open. So again, the back bend that we do almost every week. Go up and over the chair and let some ease actually be part of the opening. Now activate your arms at your sides, turn the thumbs out, open from the elbow pit, open the palm on each hand. Go underwater, feel each sitting bone, each inward heel. Open the depth and the sunlight. Good, and then release. Because this is what's trying to happen as the poses get more complicated, right? So now lean over to the right. Remember, we spent a lot of time when we go off balance learning to activate and open. So instead of this, as I lean over, I'm opening and activating. But now, after today's class, I want to include the top. You guys are moving here, following me like monkey see, monkey do. I'm trying to say, don't forget the top of your head. The space above your head and the both base you're sitting with. I was just touching it to help your mind. So touch it if you want to. But no, we're not trying to end the pose at the top of the head. We're wanting to have that be a conduit. So then you're off to the side, you're opening, you're lengthening, but now I got to go underwater to find my heels, for me at least, to find my sitting bones. I'm going to want to take a good inhalation into each side of my rib cage. This side's going to want to feel the breath more. The upper side, I want to make sure the lower side's getting it. I'm going to be a yogi here. I'm going to try to bring symmetry. And then take the arms up. And then over. Oh, that actually feels a little bit safer to me, right? I feel more in control. Here, can I stay to my fingertips, to the center of my palm? As I try to do that, what do I have to do that? Oh, my head's being stupid, right? I catch myself. Good, and then release. One of the things that, and I'm just gonna feel the openness of that arm for a second, but one of the things that you get better and better at when you practice more is that you get better at catching yourself not doing something, right? it's not even so much that I know exactly what to do. I can catch myself when I'm not doing something. Right. So when I said my head just got stupid, I was actually jamming energy at my head, at my neck, and it was stealing from my pose. Right. Non-stealing is one of the yamas, by the way. Right. So I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to make sure I'm being vibrantly full. And so I want this lift in my chest, not just to fill my shoulders. I want it to fill my legs. I want to fill. I'm going to migrate my spine slightly forward so I get more dynamic. I'll take the arm up and I'll watch how that introduces struggle, where actually I'm not doing things as well. I'll go over and go, oh, that seems a little bit more in the midline. Oh, I get why now my spine, the rotation of my belly button up towards the ceiling is more dynamic because my upper arm's in line. Now I'm going to go wide and notice my ability to turn my abdomen doesn't do as much work, right? Because I'm noticing stuff. Good, and then release. And it's because I'm noticing my emptiness and not just my muscular action, that I can catch my poses not doing what they're supposed to do. All right, push in on your knees. Again, conjure a world. Move to describe the world. Don't just move in the world. It's freaking beautiful. It's amazing. Good, and then release. Take the left arm up, the right arm, take it down. Now this is gonna collapse my spine, but I'm gonna do it anyway today. Take the other arm behind me, right? So I'm gonna try to, so I'm not gonna lean against the back of my chair because I have balance issues, but I'm now trying to fix that by getting myself in the optimal position, right? And I'm gonna open here, lengthen to describe the world here, make the balance between the work in my left arm and my right arm help me feel my legs by opening the center of my chest, right? I'm going to open there so my action and my effort fill the whole vessel. Good, and then release. What? How could this connect my arms and my legs? Because that's how it works. Take the other arm. That's actually how it works. And then take it down, and then I'm going to collapse my pose, take the other arm behind me. Ooh, I better be careful here. This one doesn't like it as much. All right, so now I'm activating the the openness here, and knock my own glasses off, right? The openness here, the action here, right? And I want it to feed my legs. So I'm going to open the center of my chest. I'm going to like make space there so more of me connects. And breathe. Good, and then release. Ooh, I got to come out of this slow. Oh, that pissed off my elbow. All right, so now I'm going to come forward again. I hope you're learning how to fill up your own vessel. Right? I hope that about half of my instructions seem ridiculous to you. I guarantee you they're not ridiculous. They're practiced. Right? It's about your practice, about what you receive. Good, and then I'm going to go back because I wanted that length in the low back, right? I'm going to try to keep that as I go back and up and over my chair. I want to submit, I want to fall open using my chair and its security to let my chest and then length from my sternum to my chin Remember last week I talked about lengthening the back of your neck as you do this. Good. And then release. Come forward. Does anyone remember all those weird instructions about the back of your neck last week? Yeah. Yeah. Please remember that these classes actually grow out of each other, right? They're threads. So I'm leaning forward and I'm broadening across my collarbones and I'm like being in more of an upward facing dog. If you know what that pose is, start to do it. Drop your shoulder blades, lift under the collarbones, take the head back, being very dynamic. But I want this part of me to be especially describing the world, right? Especially describing the world. So my breath becomes part of my expression. Good. And then release. Now we're going to concave and shrink, right? So convex, pardon me. So you're going to shrink, go inward. Damn, there's strength there, right? Because that's kind of the position we're in as babies in the womb, right? There's strength to this retraction, right? There is. It's a holding pattern of growth. And then open and lift the chest and come back up, right? And then go back up and over your chair. And then come forward again and watch the movement back towards child's pose, the inward, the holding pattern of growth, where you're more withdrawn. Here, you're not paying attention to your skin as much. You're letting yourself fall inward through the center, right? Now, you're going to reverse order, reverse direction, and come out through the center, right? Come back, fall open, as if this is a water fountain or like Old Faithful coming right out of your chest. And then Old Faithful has to withdraw, go inward. Your emptiness becoming what I meant by underwater, because you can travel underwater too, right? So you're going back to that inward. And then you're going to start. Now, this time, my eyes are closed. I hope yours are too. I'm going to be very aware as I open to let the sunlight into my vision and be received by my spine. Open your eyes, start to come out of it. Let that light come into your spine, up and over again. And I get to transition and then back to neutral between inward and outward. And I want that transition. So now I want you to rock back and forth. I want that transition to become fluid, because somehow we're not being fluid. We're being on a middle school date, because we're not being fluid between inner and out. Outward's getting judged too much, right? And then I'm going to add some rhythm, right? So I'm pulling back on one knee, pushing out the other, and pretending I'm stepping up over a big thing. I almost feel like I got suspenders on, for God's sakes. Like I could just fling them right here, right? Right? So I'm just actually conjuring worlds. I just became my grandpa for a second. What the hell? Like him being big and taking up space, right? He took up a lot of space, even though he sat still, right? He was big, right? And not big like heavy, he was just big. He had like sausage-sized fingers, by the way, from working a farm his whole life. You ever seen those hands I'm talking about? Big, huge, fat fingers from working the earth. Oh. So sit up and be alert again. And then one more twist. Inhale up, exhale, revolve. Come on down, open. So make sure you're not cranking the twist, but you're like massaging your low back as you twist. So you're not just trying to take your upper body around. You're grounding your legs to massage your low back as you twist here. Now open the center of your chest. Good. And then come on back to center. And then I'm going to describe the world as I take my arm up. And I'm going to connect the world as I take my arm down. And I'm going to ground myself to create conditions of safety. And then I'm going to inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Good. And then come on back to center. Practice symmetry for a second, because that's going to be part of Savasana. Movement does describe the world. Human beings figured that out a long time ago, and they turned it into dance as an art form. So as I feel each foot in each sitting bone, dropping each shoulder blade, I let there be a release at the back of each eye. I let my eyes go under my cheekbones. So come back into a supported position of Shavasana, but I'm taking this symmetry and letting it land. Keeping sensitivity between my fingertips or thumb tips. Softening the temples, the jaw, the inside of the mouth. I'm traveling towards relief, but I have to allow it. Lips together, teeth slightly apart. Relax the tongue. Feel the skin getting touched. Feel your bones getting supported. Let go. Feel your breath. Don't change it. Thank your body. Let your thank be a home. Start to bring yourself back. Slightly deeper inhalation, slightly longer exhalation. When you're ready, here comes the sun. At least it's sunny here. Here comes the light. I'm going to open and let my eyes receive. So if each of the cells of my eyes actually gets a choice, right? When you're ready, and if you can, bring your hands together. Namaste. Spirit in me bows to the spirit in you.